I think this is a signal that Emerson Mnangagwa's time is running out. I can tell you there is absolutely nothing that happens in Zimbabwe in isolation. Definitely, Tino Machakaire's sentiments. Tino Machakaire is now speaking more like, Blessed Gaza. And he is within ZANU-PF. He is now speaking the language of Blessed Gaza. And I can attest to that what he has put on the public domain already that is currently discussed in Zimbabwe. I've seen even ZANU-PF is trending in South Africa because people are alarmed, and most of the issue that is being discussed, it is Tino Machakaire's sentiments. Is this an indication that Emerson Mnangagwa's time is up? I can attest to you that this be a pointer that Mnangagwa's time or days are numbered. If not minutes, if not hours, it is days. It can be more months. Greetings and welcome on your lovely channel, the Shonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So, the question
what's really got the political chatter buzzing lately? It seems to be this statement from Tino Machakaire in Zimbabwe.
Yeah, definitely. And it's making waves beyond Zimbabwe too, right? Heard it's even trending in South Africa.
Exactly. That tells you something, doesn't it, when it crosses borders like that?
For sure. It highlights, the potential weight of what he said and maybe the underlying tensions.
Right. And we've been looking at this YouTube analysis from Hellenophony Global News TV. The title is pretty direct. Is Tino Machakaire's statement an indication that Mnangagwa's time is up?
Yep, that's the one we're diving into.
So that's our focus today. We really want to unpack this whole thing, figure out why it's causing such a stir, and get a handle on what shifts it might signal in Zimbabwean politics.
Makes sense.
Okay, so to kick things off, what's the core question the YouTube analysis really zeroes in on regarding Machakaire's statement?
Well, it basically echoes that title, doesn't it? The central question they raise is, look, does this statement from Machakaire suggest President Mnangagwa's time in power might be, running out? They're framing it as a potential sign, an indicator of a big change possibly coming.
Gotcha. And the analysts, they don't really hold back, do they? Their immediate take is, nothing happens in isolation in Zimbabwe's politics.
Right. That's the first point they make. Context is everything.
And they draw this pretty interesting parallel, saying Machakaire now sounds a bit like Blessed Gaza, using similar language within ZANU-PF.
Yeah, that comparison comes up straight away. And for anyone maybe less familiar, ZANU-PF is, the ruling party, been dominant for ages.
So bringing up Blessed Gaza isn't just random.
Not at all. The analyst is suggesting there might be a pattern here, or like a specific kind of internal criticism bubbling up again. It hints at those internal party dynamics.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. The analyst starts asking some very pointed questions about Machakaire's motives, like, why now? Did he only just notice the health sector problems on a recent visit? Hadn't he been to hospitals before? Makes you wonder.
Those questions really cut to the chase, don't they? Is a genuine concern suddenly bubbling up, or is there something else going on? A strategy, perhaps?
Exactly. Is it honest, or is there another angle? Does he realize the potential consequences of saying this stuff publicly?
Yeah, the potential blowback.
And maybe the biggest question, is this just him acting alone, or is it part of something bigger, a coordinated move?
And the analyst seems pretty sure it's not isolated. Right?
Yeah, very convinced. So the takeaway for you listening might be, okay, this isn't just one guy speaking out of turn. It could be a sign of a larger shift.
That conviction that it's not isolated is really significant. It points towards maybe factions or groups within ZANU-PF potentially backing him or at least sharing his views, internal divisions, basically.
Which brings us neatly back to that Blessed Gaza comparison. Remind us, what was Gaza's point again?
Gaza had previously talked about that moment when a leader kind of realizes their support base has just vanished, that they're left with no one.
Right.
And the analyst is saying they're sensing similar vibes, you could say, in what Machakaire is doing now, a potential sign of weakening support for the current leadership.
That idea of eroding support, It leads straight into what the analyst observes about ZANU-PF itself. They mention disunity, especially in the Youth League.
Yeah, they point to that. Some supporting Mnangagwa, others apparently not, but maybe hesitant to say so openly.
And they connect Machakaire's boldness, his willingness to speak out, to possibly getting encouragement from a specific faction, maybe one linked to retired General Chiwenga.
That's the suggestion. It really dives into the weeds of ZANU-PF's internal power struggles. It suggests Machakaire's statement might be reflecting these behind-the-scenes maneuvers.
So it's potentially more complex than just one person's criticism. Factionalism, these competing groups, that could be key.
Exactly. Those internal groups, factions, often have their own agendas, their own loyalties.
Okay, and Machakaire's actions themselves. Pretty bold, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. This wasn't some quiet chat.
No, it was a detailed, seemingly carefully worded statement put out publicly on X, Twitter, and he directly tagged Mnangagwa, told him to pay attention.
That directness is striking. Makes it hard to ignore.
So is that just individual bravery, or is someone or some group giving him the nod? The analysts seem to think something bigger is brewing. Their phrase was like, something is about to go down.
Yeah, that dramatic interpretation underscores how seriously they're taking this. The public, direct nature, it suggests a deliberate move to force the issue.
And what about the content? He specifically focused on the health sector, didn't he?
He did, and the analyst points out this isn't a new complaint. Journalists like Hopewell Chinono faced prosecution for raising similar issues. Even Blessed Gaza talked about it.
Right. And the analyst says ordinary Zimbabweans have been, quote, crying about this for ages. So why pick the health sector?
Well, it could be strategic. It's an issue that affects everyone, deeply personal. It might be seen as less overtly political than criticizing, say, economic policy directly.
Safer ground, maybe.
Potentially. Or maybe just more effective at tapping into that widespread public unhappiness, aligning himself with a long-standing grievance.
Okay, now something else the analysts kept bringing up was this ongoing stay away.
Right, yeah.
Which is apparently supposed to continue until Mnangagwa is removed. And they imply that during this time, anything can happen. What exactly is a stay away in this context?
It sounds like a form of ongoing protest or civil resistance, people staying away from work, from normal activities, to put pressure on the government for political change.
But there's already this backdrop of tension and protest action.
Exactly. The analyst mentioning it repeatedly suggests it's part of the current volatile atmosphere where, political statements like Machakaire's land with extra force.
So putting it all together, what does this mean inside ZANU-PF? The analyst sees Machakaire's statement as a major eye-opener for the party.
Yeah, like a real wake-up call.
He even used the word implosion, suggesting that if this kind of public criticism, which is normally seen as serious indiscipline, right, isn't stamped out, it could signal the party structure is weakening.
If the usual rules of party discipline don't seem to apply here, or if he faces no consequences, that tells you something significant about the internal balance of power. It could signal a real breakdown in unity.
And the analyst's final takeaway is pretty stark. They feel Mnangagwa's position is looking shaky, increasingly precarious.
Yeah, they sense a sort of countdown might be underway, like we should be watching for potentially big news.
So the bottom line for you listening is this. Tino Machakaire makes this statement, seems very critical. But when you look at it, like the analyst does, through the lens of Zimbabwe's politics,
and you factor in past events like the Blessed Gaza comments and these rumors of factions within ZANU-PF,
it really does raise serious questions about how stable the current leadership actually is. It's more than just one comment.
Absolutely. It shows how one public act in the right context can just ignite all this speculation and really make people question the political direction.
It definitely makes you think. And given everything the analyst pointed to, the interconnectedness, this ongoing stay away, what should we be watching for next?
Good question. What could happen immediately? What factors might, either calm things down or escalate the instability?
Yeah, definitely something to keep a very close eye on. And probably worth seeking out different news sources, different perspectives on Zimbabwe to get the full picture.